I was reading the article on WHYY, which is a Philly outlet. It says, we'll make it work. Philly grandparents advocates push for better programs and policies to help grandparent caregivers. I love this article because this really strikes a chord with me as far as kinship care and how important kinship care is. It says more than 14,000 grandparents are raising their grandchildren in Philly. They face hidden challenges such as legal guidelines and financial support. And as I was reading this article, I was just thinking that it says 14,000 grandparents are raising their children in Philly. But just imagine how many youth are being taken care of that are not being tracked legally. I'm so grateful and amazed about this report. Just real fast, for those that don't know, the definition of kinship care, just to keep it simple, is a relative or close family friend appointed by the court to raise a child when the parents are unable to do so. Kinship care is so amazing because it happens all over America way before a foster care system was even invented. I mean, people's grandparents, people's aunts, uncles would take care of you, and a lot of people have been taken care of by their grandparents. I wanted to speak on a few things. It says here that in this article, it says that she was not ready for the cascade of legal paperwork. They're talking about a grandmom here. Court appearances and the lack of clear guidance for grandparents. Round 2 of parenting was different. Although she had plenty of love to give, the logistics of grandparenting were confusing. I want to talk about foster parents, especially as grandparents. It is oftentimes said that being overwhelmed is a significant problem with dealing with foster children, and it needs to be reformed. The average person would need to be an attorney just to have a healthy understanding of the complexity of the child welfare system. And this is so true because you have to deal with so many different moving parts as it relates to a foster child that I could imagine if I'm 30, if I'm 40, it's already overwhelming. But now I'm trying to take care of a foster child and I'm, let's say, 60 and I'm 70. That could be a bit much. Okay? And so we need to do a better job. And I love this article as it talks about doing a better job to make sure that you can relate to grandparents, that they make it easy. One of the things I always say about being a foster care advocate and child welfare advocate is that how do we make this simple for the layperson? Right? Because oftentimes it's a bunch of acronyms and it's a bunch of legal jargon. That's a lot. Right? I got things to do. I'm trying to work and take care of the children. I don't have time to read policy, procedures, and legal jargon that is a hefty amount of paperwork to read through and sift through and understand it with a great deal of competence. Then it talks about grand families have more trouble accessing mental health services and support due to lack of availability, lack of legal authority, and limited understanding of grand families' needs among providers, cost, stigma, and ageism. The study outlined. Now, here's a few things I wanted to talk about. Number one is the lack of legal authority. The issue with kinship care, and a lot of people will say that, is that it's almost like the system was built for the perfect stranger, but not the perfect family member. And so oftentimes the person that wants to do kinship care is caught in this legal purgatory where they don't fit the perfect stranger model, but yet they're still family, right? And now they want to give the family member a complete adoption, but they don't want to give you no services. And so the balance has always been, the issue has always been, how can I take care of someone with their services? And oftentimes people will push you to the adoption, but then leave you with no services. So these are things that grandparents that are at 60, 70, late 50s, they have to try to balance how to take care of a new foster child, but they got to worry about the cost. They definitely got to worry about the stigma. Listen, you're in your second wind of your life, and the type of stigma that comes with that. We are human people. We are humans who have to deal with these things as we're taking care of new children. Most of these grandparents are on fixed income. And so now the fixed income is being divided more now that they have a foster child. How do we help them with that? We have to admit that as we get older, our patience is running thin. And so we don't want to overwhelm our grand families as they're doing these amazing things. And resources and services are the things that can help the grandparents. And then last but not least, of course, needing a simple system. Making sure that our grand families can have someone who can break down things simple, fast, and to the point. We're not trying to overwhelm them with a bunch of paperwork. We're not trying to overwhelm them with, 3 court appearances, 3 visits from the caseworker, 3 visits from this person, a CASA worker, an ad litem. I mean, come on. Okay? But overall, I love that grandparents are stepping up. I love the nonprofit that they talked about in this article called Connectedly, which is a nonprofit that helps older citizens, that help grand families become a network. So that way they don't feel loneliness. That way they feel like they don't feel like they're the only ones doing this. Network, a support group, a village is so important. And so I'm glad for this nonprofit called Connectedly. Please, if you're out there, look up this nonprofit. I promise you they're doing amazing work. I'll talk to you soon.